Hey, I just wanted to come on real quick to let you know that in the month of October, we are going to do a short series focusing on two vital areas: breast cancer prevention and navigating the perimenopause and menopausal journey. I am super excited about this. We're always going to be looking at everything from a holistic perspective and a holistic lens. What can we do from that side of things for prevention or help? And so, just a little side note, this is all educational information. Make sure you see your doctor if you're not feeling 100% or if you have medical questions. In the upcoming episodes, we're going to talk and share some expert insights. We're going to have some personal stories from people. We're, of course, going to walk away with some actionable steps to create our 1% shift on our health journey. So stay tuned, stay inspired, and let's embrace this transformative season together. But I also want to let you guys know that I'm super excited about a free guide that I've created. I've taken a lot of time to create this with you guys in mind, listening to different women speak and telling me what their needs are, which ultimately were the same needs that I had when I first entered into the empty nest phase, which I'm still dipping one toe in and about to go full into it. So I am currently living this myself. I really hope that you find value in this guide. I hope that it brings you something that you can focus on to change your health and wellness so that you can live the life that you desire. This will be linked in the show notes if you didn't see it on social media already. But in the show notes, you will find the link for the free guide. You can also look on my social media to opt in. You can also join my Facebook podcast Facebook group so that we can continue this conversation in a supportive internal community. So without further ado, let's see what's coming up for today. Thanks, guys. Hey, welcome back to today's episode. I am excited to have Aleah, who is a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner on. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I think you guys are really going to love her. She believes that advocating for our health and getting to the why is one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves. As a breast cancer survivor, Aleah knows firsthand the importance of making sure your body and its systems are functioning optimally. Health is something that most of us take for granted until we're challenged with a traumatic event or some type of diagnosis. She believes in the body's innate ability to heal and look forward to healing those who are looking for answers and wanting real solutions to their health. I am 100% sure that you guys are going to be able to walk away with several things today that you totally can apply to your life from here on out. So please stay tuned. I look forward to hearing what resonates with you the most. And without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to today's episode. I'm super excited to have Aleah Dechant on. And guys, this conversation I know is going to be amazing. She is a breast cancer survivor, and I don't know her all that well, but I know that she is very educated and she's got a story to tell. So I just wanted to jump in really quick and have her start by telling us a little bit about who you are and how you got where you are, because I think it's super important. So welcome to the show, first of all, and I'm super excited to get started with you.
Thank you, Robin. I'm excited to be here and share my story with you guys and your listeners. My story started probably about 5 years ago. I was noticing that I was dealing with a lot of chronic fatigue. It was really hard to get out of bed in the mornings. I'd need a nap in the afternoon. Just felt very lethargic all the time. My hair that had used to be really soft and voluminous kind of got straw-like and dry and brittle. I noticed some weight gain. I gained about 20 pounds over the course of a year without changing anything in my diet, in my exercise habits. And I was perplexed. And so I started seeing all of the doctors like we all do. Started with a family physician, was told, oh, it's normal. You're entering perimenopausal age. You have kids, you lead a busy lifestyle. It's normal. You're okay. Okay, well, I wasn't satisfied with that because I just felt like something is not right. This does not make sense. So I started going down more of the natural path, and I met with several different naturopathic physicians. And they, again, it was kind of a similar idea there too, just because I was pretty young at that time. I was like mid to late 30s. And they did run hormone tests on me, and both of them did. different kinds separately. And what came back is my levels were normal. Now what I know, being in the functional health world, lab ranges that are run by standard labs, your range is huge. It's
Correct.
takes the population all the way from the sick to the very, very healthy. And so what is considered normal is very broad. The bell curve is a giant one. When you jump into the functional health space, which is where I live now, that bell curve really gets shortened and you're only looking at optimal health. So had we been looking at my lab ranges through the lens of functionality, I definitely would not have been considered normal. I would have been low. The only thing that they did kind of raise a little bit of a flag was my DHEA was pretty much depleted and my adrenals were shot. They asked, oh, do you have little kids at home? Well,
Right.
at that point, I think my children were like 8 and 10 or 9 and 11. So no, they weren't small. They were pretty self-sufficient. They keep you busy, but not like a newborn does.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just said, okay, well, just make sure you're resting. And here's a supplement to support your adrenals. Did that for almost a year. I was also dealing with some gut health issues, some bloating, had some food sensitivity testing, showed a ton of food sensitivities, all the stuff I was eating every day, spinach, apples, cinnamon, those types of things that were all healthy, but my body was reacting to them. Now what I know, that means, okay, leaky gut.
Right.
So I was given a gut healing like protein powder to drink for a few months. It didn't really do much. My bloating decreased, but nothing in my symptoms really improved over that year of supporting my adrenals or dealing with my gut health. And fast forward to turning 40, was excited. That was going to be like my year. I was going back to school to get into this world of functional health. I was going in for just nutrition at that point, just because I'm kind of a nerd that way. Like that's the kind of books I read for fun.
Yeah, love it.
Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but that's my wheelhouse. And just knew that was kind of something that resonated with me, that I felt like that was the path I needed to be walking. Well, exactly 1 week after turning 40, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Mm. And it was found as a cyst, actually, during a routine gynecological exam. She was doing the breast exam, found a cyst. I'd had one 4 years before. Neither of us were alarmed. It didn't feel like anything abnormal, but standard procedure. You go in for mammogram and ultrasound. So I went in for those. The mammogram did not find anything. I'd always had very dense tissue. But then when we got to the ultrasound, a flag was raised and they felt like they noticed something. And so I had to come back in for the biopsy. And even at the biopsy, she said, I don't want the first time you hear that you have cancer to be on the phone. So I'm telling you right now that it looks like cancer. And kind of like the floor dropped out from under me.
Sure.
I just turned 40. I am just about to enter into what is supposed to be like my career. I have finally found what I'm aligned to do. So I was almost in denial, even though there was part of me that knew she was right. And of course, 24 hours later, I got the news and it was, you definitely have cancer. They thought it was small enough that I'd be able to have a lumpectomy. I went in for the breast MRI because that's, again, standard procedure, and they found 8 masses in my left breast. And so I was told, you have no option other than to have a mastectomy. And so I opted for a double mastectomy at that point. And I was told at the day of my surgery, my husband was actually told, because I was in recovery, that my lymph node looked fine. It looked healthy. I shouldn't need chemo. This should be it. We should be good. Well, kind of like before, fast forward a few days later, oh, that we found a little bit in your lymph node. Looks like you should be going through chemo. It became this whole process. And everything that they were telling me just did not align with what I intuitively felt like was my path for healing.
Okay.
So I opted to find an integrative clinic out in California that did low dose chemotherapy. And so I flew out there multiple times, spent a couple of weeks, and did low dose chemotherapy and just a whole plethora of alternative and integrative healing protocols. And I 100% believe that me making that choice is what has given me the vibrant health that I have now, because I'm just 2 years on the other side of it. So I don't think that aligns with everyone. I think you have to do the treatment that intuitively speaks to you. If you feel like the treatment will work, that's in your favor. If you feel like that's something that does not align with you, then that won't. So that's where I had to kind of bunk the system and go against the grain, which as a patient is really hard to do. It's really hard to sit there and tell your oncologists, I don't agree with what you're asking me to do. I'm going to do something else. There's a lot of fear surrounding the diagnosis. So it took me down this path. I learned the importance of testing and terrain. And ultimately, because of that journey, that enabled me to see how important testing and not guessing actually is. And I ended up going to a different school once I had recovered and became a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So I use diagnostic labs to actually uncover root problems. And so I can coach up healing with the patients or clients. I don't have patients, they're clients. So that's my story in a nutshell.
First of all, I'm so thrilled that you're healthy and you're vibrant and you're surviving and thriving and all this stuff. And listening to the story from before the diagnosis and all the little things that you were feeling, it's like people forget to be intuitive. People forget to listen to themselves. And when somebody tells you you're fine and you don't feel fine, you do not accept that answer, you are okay. It's like you have to realize your body talks to you. It's going to tell you in lots of different ways, and they're going to be subtle little ways, and then they're going to be big little ways, or big ways. And so what I find interesting is it's like you were already on that path. You had already, like, your mindset was being shifted due to things that you were seeing. And probably by, to me, there's no surprises. So it's like God was having you go down that path so that you could have a different mindset, so that when you got to something like this, you could think beyond. Because you're right. Fear. I mean, I obviously have not been diagnosed with anything like that, but fear, I could imagine, it's huge when anybody gets a diagnosis of anything, because it's the unknown. And then when you don't know how to use your voice and you are not sure what your options are, you just go with what is said because you just trust. And so I think now my experience has obviously been very different, but what I have learned along my journey of all of that is to trust myself. And again, 100%. I think we forget to trust ourselves. And because we think, well, we don't have a degree, we don't know. And again, not that you're right. There's not one path that is right for everybody, but you have to believe in the path and you have to feel it in your gut that this is the right path for you. And when you have those instincts, then that will be what's supposed to be for you, And so just curious, because, going against doesn't feel good, right? It's not like the greatest feeling, but how were you able to overcome that fear of saying, like, I don't want to go this route. I'm going to do something, but I'm just going to choose a different route. Like, what was that conversation like within?
It was really, like you said, just tuning in and listening into my gut, which became stronger than I had ever experienced before in my life. I have always felt pretty in tune with my body, but this was a whole other level of alignment. Just how I knew full dose chemotherapy, I couldn't do it. I knew it was going to personally destroy my health, and I would either not come out on the other side, or I would have lifelong complications from it. And it was something that I felt so strongly. It was almost like my body shut down at the thought of it. I remember being like in the fetal position, just crying and telling my husband, I cannot do this. It will kill me. And because of that, I had to find a fire and a strength within that I had never had to utilize or call upon before, in order to tap into, okay, if that's not right, then what is right? And I just did hours and hours of research and phone calls and talking to doctors and reading books, and anything that struck a chord, I would kind of just ear flag it and say, okay, that feels like alignment. This one feels like it's in alignment. This feels like it's in alignment. And then when I happened to find the center that I went to in California, everything there was about how the environment has affected you, trauma has affected you, what your terrain inside your body is like, how everything comes together for this swirl of chaos that allows cancer to happen.
Mhm.
I also was not someone that felt angry at cancer, or that I needed to like fight it. And, you see the boxing gloves, be a
Mhm.
warrior. I knew the cancer cells were me. They were
Right.
once healthy cells that had undergone something that influenced them to mutate and oxidize and become cancer. So how could I be mad at those cells when they are me? They once were healthy and vibrant. There was something that led them down that path. So I wanted to focus more on lightness and healing and hope and belief and just doing everything I could for vibrant optimal health, because I know our bodies are innately designed to heal themselves. And so if I could give it everything it possibly needed, I knew my body could show up and pull through for me. And that thankfully I was right, and we were able to beat it.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you your opinion on, people they're so afraid of the word cancer.
Yeah.
And really, when you break it down, cancer cells, like you said, are just cells that have, for some reason, mutated, and we're not able to die off and do the things that they normally do on a daily basis.
Right.
And I also know that it's not just one component, right? There's several things that have to align for the storm to happen, basically.
Correct.
And so can you talk a little bit about, because what I want to do on the show is for people to walk away and not have fear. I want them to
Right.
understand that, just because they might have one piece of the puzzle going on, it doesn't mean that that's what's going to be the end result.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
It's
know
never one
environmental
thing.
is huge,
Yep.
but
Environmental is huge. Anytime you can remove endocrine disruptors from your life, so looking at your cleaning products, your personal care products, the things you put in your clothing, on your body, those types of things, you're lessening your risk.
so let's stop for 1 second. Let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that, just because I
Okay.
feel like some people, they're not aware of this. And
Mhm.
so when she's talking about looking at your personal care products, do you know off the top of your head a few, like I know phthalates,
Mhm.
those are endocrine disruptors. I know there are certain chemicals within cleaning products and beauty products, and do you have like a small little like few that you can think of off the top of
Sure.
your head?
So sulfates, parabens, phthalates, like you said, those are the main ones. BPA in plastic, which is what a lot of our products that we purchase come in. The easiest thing to do if you're wanting to lessen your exposure is just to go to EWG's website, and you could enter in the name of your product and it will give you a score. Anything a 2 and above, so 1 or 2 is good, you're safe. Anything 3 and below, you're starting to get into it has some of those chemicals in it. It's not as safe for your body. Obviously, the higher the score, the worse it is. So that's the easiest way. That's what I do with my clients when we're working to reduce toxin exposure, is just take a sticky note and go through all your bottles and find the ones that don't match up and align with the lower end of the spectrum on EWG, and know those are the ones that you should replace.
Yeah, and I love that, because EWG is a great tool and it gives people power. I always try to empower people to have good choices and to make good choices. In order to do that, you have to have kind of a help to do that. And so I
Yes.
think that EWG is a great resource for that. And again, if you're someone who doesn't know what's going on in their products at this moment, that's a great first step into understanding what you do have going on, because I think the numbers around like most women are exposed to 250 or 60 toxins before they ever even leave the house in the morning. And
That's right.
so we come in contact with a lot of toxins. And so if we're trying to reduce that body burden, we really have to understand what is going on to our skin, because our skin is our largest organ. It goes into our bloodstream. And so EWG, great. I love that. The other thing that okay, so that was the first tip
Thing that
of,
they can do.
yes.
You want
Okay.
me to kind of hop into like prevention types of things so people feel empowered?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So another thing to do is blood sugar regulation. So again, kind of go lines with perimenopause and menopause. That's something that most of us age 40 and above start to have issues with, is insulin resistance. If you can regulate your blood sugar, it helps, because cancer cells are about 200 times more like they use 200 times more glucose than regular cells. So if you can regulate that blood sugar, not only does it help not feed the cancer cells that are currently in your body, it also helps all of the other functionality that you have going on. If you're dealing with blood sugar dysregulation or insulin resistance, it's kind of like a cascade effect and affects other areas of your body, throwing your hormones off and throwing your gut health off and things like that. So definitely a focus on blood sugar. Making sure you're getting adequate vitamin D. Most of us do not. Even if you live in sunny Florida, you still typically are not getting enough vitamin D, and we don't get it through the foods that we used to because of the nature of our soil not being as healthy as what it used to be. So supplementing with vitamin D3 is always a good idea. I always recommend the liposomal formula of D3 because it's more bioavailable. And if you can get one that also has K2 in it, it's going to be absorbed into the body a lot better. So vitamin D is good. Maintaining a healthy weight, and that goes with everything, and also becomes more difficult as we age. Kind of ties into blood sugar regulation. If you can get those things, that's usually a little bit easier. But moving your body daily, something we all should do. We're very sedentary. We're behind computers. We're sitting at desks. We're driving our kids to practices. We're in the car all the time. We don't realize how little we move. And so making an effort to actually physically move your body every day, it doesn't have to be anything super intense, especially as we age. That's not always the best, but just simple walking. And if you can do it in nature, be outside, get grounded, get natural sunlight on your eyes. That helps your circadian rhythm, which helps your sleep. So I always like to ask clients to try to get a morning walk in when the sun is up first thing in the morning. It's kind of a twofer there. You're getting some vitamin D, you're helping your circadian rhythm, and then you're getting that movement in. Another thing is dealing with stress management. Stress is awful for our body. And I'm sure most of us, at least in this space, have heard the issues are in the tissues. So it's very common for someone with a cancer diagnosis to have gone through some sort of traumatic experiences in their life that maybe they didn't resolve fully. Talk therapy is always an option, but then there's things like EFT, meditation, just anything you can do. Yoga can help move some of that through your tissue, somatic breathing. There's a lot of things that can be done, but actually sitting with your feelings and feeling them and letting them process through, instead of what most of us do, which is just keep pushing it down so that we can do the next thing and keep going. Actually spending that time to deal with whatever we're experiencing is huge. And that's just huge for your health in general.
Yeah,
Gut health. My next one. Oh, sorry.
Okay, keep going and then I'll.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say gut health is a huge one. That's where our immune system resides. 80% of it lives in our gut. But also, kind of like I mentioned with my food sensitivities, it was noted that I had leaky gut. So that was basically what came out of that. Very common. Most people in the US do have leaky gut just due to the food and the things that we're exposed to. But actually, there's one marker called zonulin that there's a very strong correlation between high levels of zonulin in a person and being diagnosed with breast cancer. So there is an actual correlation between gut health and leaky gut and breast cancer, basically because all those toxins are getting into your bloodstream, and they're one of those things that are contributing to things going rogue. So if you can definitely put a focus on gut health, find any underlying infections or pathogens that need addressed, make sure that you are using the restroom daily. All of those things are good. And then the last thing would be to make sure that your drainage pathways are open. A lot of times we don't address that. Are you sweating? Are you pooping at least once a day? Ideal is 2 to 3. Most people don't go every day, and their doctors might say that's fine as long as you're going a few times a week. That's not. You should go every single day. That's how toxins get out of our body.
I mean, such
There's a
whole
whole
list,
list of stuff.
right?
There's a lot we can do.
So, and I love that because it gives people options, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
and it gives people a place to start. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to back up a little bit
Yes.
because there was just so many good things. Products, obviously, that's a no-brainer. You know, we definitely can use the EWG. We can all leave today from this episode and look at one or two products that we have and swap them out. But
Exactly.
people, one of the things I have come in to a greater understanding is people forget that your laundry detergent, you're wearing your clothes all day long. And so that's
Absolutely.
actually one of the largest products to start changing for like contact with your skin. And then I always start from head down. So shampoo, because that's going directly into your, you know, head and then down, and then, you know, just kind of move down. But detergent, I think, is one a lot of people miss because they're like, well, I'm not putting it on, you know, but it's like, no, but you're wearing your clothes all day long. You're sleeping on your sheets for 8 hours a night, hopefully, you know, and so it's that kind of stuff. So those, I love that. The blood sugar regulation, I find it, we all need to work on that. That is something that every person can work on because in America, I don't know, I've never really been to a bunch of other countries, but I know for a fact in America, we all consume, or most people consume way too much sugar. And the reason is they don't really understand the correlation from a gram to like a teaspoon, like a visual. So I love to give people visuals of like a gram is 4 teaspoons of sugar. So if you're having something that has 25 grams of sugar, you're eating 100 tablespoons of sugar. So put that in a baggie and see how much that is. And that's in one drink that you're having in the morning. You know, it's like not a great way to start out. Again, moderation every once in a while, you know, we're not saying don't eat anything, but it's just being more intentional about your choices and what you're actually, you know, physically putting in your body. Absolutely. But what I wanted to make people aware of is when, and my sister-in-law had cancer. And so when she would get her PET scans, they actually inject sugar in through the PET scan because that's what lights up, because sugar goes to those cells. And so sugar plays a very big role in the replication and creating the cells to go wonky. So definitely something to be mindful of. The stress management piece, I think, is very interesting because I hear a lot of times, you know, I have so much stress. Okay. Stress is unavoidable, right? We all have stress, and we all have choices in how we handle the stress. And so that's where I like to talk about, like, what do you do with the stress? Because it's inevitable, you know, we're all going to have stressful moments through life. It's just part of life. But how we handle that stress, do you breathe through it? Do you ignore it? And when you ignore it, it does get suppressed. It's not going away. And if you suppress it and it goes and sits stagnant in your tissues, it's going to come back with a vengeance in the end. And so I had an interview with a lady and she said menopause is like the great reveal. It's like all the stuff comes back up. And I was like, that is so true. Like, that's such a genius coin thing. So if you're someone that has a lot of stress in their life, we're not saying, you know, figure it out so you have no stress. We're just saying you need to learn different tools and different tactics to work through the stress in a way that you're releasing it, you're not holding on to it, and then you're recovering from it. You know, so I love the somatic breathing. I love EFT. Like, there are some things that you can do. Again, they don't take a lot of time,
and they're free.
And the movement part, you know, I hear a lot of the pushback on, well, I don't like to go to the gym. No one's saying go to the gym. You know, if you want to do, if you're older and you want to do a little resistance, get 5-pound dumbbells and do them at home while you're watching TV. But the important thing about movement, it's you're physically moving the stuff energy through your body, correct, to then release it. So if you're somebody that's resonating with the word, you know, exercise and movement, swing your arms, you know, like just do some general swinging. If you're someone on social media, look up, you know, different, you know, stress management tips and things. You can find lots of free things out there to do. So don't let the word stress management throw you because you're someone who can't get rid of all of your stress.
Right.
And then there was one other thing. Well, the pathways I definitely want to get to. So when you're detoxing, okay, when like on a daily basis as you're detoxing, if you are pooping every day, that's definitely one way. And sweating is also another way.
Correct.
And some people like myself, I'm not a huge sweater. That's an issue, you know. So I try to force myself to sweat, you know, and that's, but it's interesting because what I've learned, and I was wanted to get your expertise on this, is that when I go into saunas, I feel very like off, like I start to sweat, but I don't feel like, some people love it and they feel great. And I feel, and I know it's because stuff's not able to push out.
Right.
So what I learned from one of the holistic doctors that I have was there was a lot of stagnation in my liver. And so things were getting kind of back. So if you could talk about what pathways are and how they actually detox, and we all know the benefits is getting rid of toxins, but like, how does that actually work?
Sure. So our drainage pathways are like a funnel. And we start at the very bottom of the funnel and we work our way up. So at the very bottom is our colon. That's where obviously you're wanting to have bowel movements 1 to 2 times a day. As long as that's going, then the next level up can work through. But if that is getting blocked, then anything trying to work up here can't get through. So we always start with the colon and making sure that people are pooping 1 to 2 times a day. Then we get into your liver and bile ducts, kind of like you said you were experiencing. That's what processes the toxins that come out of our lymphatic system, out of our bloodstream. It gets everything, you know, nicely packaged together and sends it to the colon to go through. Well, if your liver is backed up or if it's sluggish and not moving fast enough, those toxins actually go back out into your system and get recirculated. And so you're getting continual exposure, and it can give you symptoms of not feeling good and leads to other health issues. Beyond there, next step of the funnel is the lymphatic system. And so those are the little lymph nodes that you feel. If you've ever had a sore throat and had swollen lymph nodes, that's where it's fighting the bacteria. It's getting caught in that lymph node. All the stuff is going through. It's getting filtered before it comes out. Or if you have ever had them in your armpits, like from sweating and deodorant, that's a kind of shows you where they are, but they cover your entire body and they have no pump. So they have no way to move themselves. We have to help them. And so things like movement, whether it's walking, rebounding on one of those small mini trampolines, dry brushing, or light massage, those are all things that can help. It's just a gentle touch on the skin that helps kind of push and flush things through down to the next one. And then we get into our organs and our tissues. Obviously, they can trap and hold on all of the different toxins if they aren't able to keep things going through. And finally, our cells, our mitochondria and the powerhouse of our energy and how everything works. Our cells can actually become calcified where they can't let nutrients in and they can't let toxins out. So there's drainage just from every level, top to finish, when it comes to our pathways. But the one below it always has to be open or things will back up.
Okay. So starting down at the colon and then moving your way up. Okay.
Yes.
So for somebody who's listening who might have bowel issues, do you have a few little tools that people, you know, we hear like add more fiber, we hear add more water, but there are some people that have tried a lot of these things and they don't find success. I have found just stress plays a huge part in that. When you're stressed and your stomach is tight all the time, you have to actually learn to relax so that your bowels can move. So
yes, I would say you're correct. Stress plays a huge role as far as constipation. And I should also note that diarrhea or very loose stool is also a form of constipation. So people will think, well, I'm going all the time, but you're really not, because it's not in the right form. So I would say if you're someone that has tried all of the things, all of the general recommendations, movement, you know, maybe it's stomach massage with essential oils, relaxing, and none of those are working, then you probably need to have a stool sample done by a functional physician and see what's going on in there. You might have microbiome imbalance. You might have mucosal barrier issues. You could have H. pylori, which is an infection in your stomach lining. All kinds of things can show up on that stool test. And once you get those issues resolved, then typically you'll find yourself moving again.
Okay. And for somebody who's like, well, I don't know what, you know, my stool is, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. There's a Bristol stool scale that you can look up online. And it gives you kind of like 7 shapes or something. And it tells you kind of a little blurb about it. So if you're unfamiliar with what your stool actually is, you can go and check out that Bristol stool scale to give you, a first little peek at what's going on. I personally, with my daughters, have found that was the most enlightening test ever. To have that done, to see actually what was happening in their microbiome, and to really nail down, like, it wasn't ADHD, she had candida, it was very, very interesting. And I'm thankful for our pediatrician who recommended it, because that was not something I was aware of, but I find it super fascinating, because I tell everybody, get your poop checked. It's just for so fascinating to see, like, all you can see. And I also think seeing your inflammation markers, seeing if you have a particular virus or bacteria or, infection or something, it's so important. And you can't really do that but with other testing. So I love that. Deodorant was something you mentioned, and I just want to mention it because I'm super passionate about the discussion around deodorant, but knowing what's in your deodorant and avoiding aluminum.
Yes.
That is so important to breast prevention of breast cancer, because it goes in, well, you can explain it to them. So what happens with deodorant when when we're looking at the EWG, and let's say, we look at a brand and it's like a 7 or 8, and it's got aluminum, what could happen to people?
So what happens is you're putting that on your skin, and there's a whole bunch of lymph nodes right in your armpit. It's going right into those lymph nodes. The ones in your armpit drain straight down into your breast. Okay. And so you're putting those toxins and those chemicals right into your breast as reservoirs to just like hold on to those toxins, and have potential health issues down the road. I was definitely someone that used the brands that, this was, years ago, like college and high school, before anyone knew that you shouldn't have these things in your deodorant. It wasn't really talked about then. And I would get swollen lymph nodes in my armpits all the time, all the time. Obviously I don't use that now. I only use healthy brands, but yeah, it definitely has an impact, because everything drains down in, even your oral health. So if you've had root canals or any kind of gum infection, that also drains down your neck and straight down into your chest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right. So just for people who might be like, well, I don't know about my deodorant, look on EWG, get a rating for what you currently have. And if it is something that is you wanting to replace, just, from experience, when you're switching over to a natural, it is a process.
It is a long process.
It is a process, and you might not smell great at first, and you're going to do a lot of sweating and detoxing, but you have to know that that's really good for your body. You want to make sure that that's telling you that it's been clogged up, basically. So, there are different brands that are healthy. And so some have baking soda, some have arrowroot, because some people have reaction to baking soda. So if you are someone like that, arrowroot, I know, is a little bit gentler. And so you don't get the same, and it is absorbent. But antiperspirant, because there's a deodorant, there's antiperspirant. That's even, like, for me, lower on the level. Like, that's the biggest.
Basically, don't wear an antiperspirant. Our bodies are designed to sweat. You need to let it sweat.
Correct. And what if somebody is an avid sweater? What if somebody is using a natural deodorant, but they literally are sweating a lot, like a lot more than normal? Is that just part of the detoxing happening, and that will lessen over time? What have you found in your experience?
It can be. It can just be that the floodgates have been opened, and things are finally getting out of their system, which is good. A sweat is a good indicator. If they are feeling like it's too much, they could do some things like sauna or Epsom salt baths to try to pull more detox out and push it through. And then if it comes to a point where it seems excessive, like they can't get a handle on it, they're needing to change their shirt multiple times a day, then that's something that could be addressed with someone, just to have it looked at and see if there's something else going on underlying.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to go back just super quick to the lymph system. And lymph massages. I know, that's something that I don't get every day, but I have gotten, a couple times a year. And I find it to be very beneficial. But dry brushing was something new to me a couple of years ago. And as kind of silly as it sounds, I really look forward to it, because I think it stimulates. I don't know what it does, but so I dry brush before I get in the shower usually. And so I feel like it just helps with circulation. I just feel like different than when
It
when I
wakes your
don't.
body up.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when I don't do it, I mean, it's fine, but I just feel different. You know,
Yes.
it's so dry brushing is a way to start the circulation to kind of push
Get the
stuff
lymph
through.
moving. Yep.
That's okay. That's cool. And for people who don't know what rebounding is, it's just like, it looks like a kid's,
Yeah, like a little tiny mini trampoline that's like
trampoline.
1 foot
Yeah.
off the ground.
And you
Yep.
just jump. So jumping's
And not
fun.
even
You know,
hard. It's
that's
just
right.
gentle bouncing.
Right. And if you don't have one, you know, I know like an easy way is just going up and down on your heels and swinging like a monkey, like swinging your arms back and forth and bending over. It's just honestly a way just to start moving all your body parts.
Exactly.
So, and it doesn't cost anything and it takes 5 minutes. So,
Yep.
People who, you know, are just kind of getting started, a lot of this can be super overwhelming.
Of course.
I love how, you know, you've broken down the most important things, and it's everything that I truly believe in. But if someone's trying to take like the first step, you know, what are 1 or 2 things that you would recommend, you know, that maybe they start with, when if they're just really brand new to this whole world of prevention?
I would say getting daily movement in outside. So being outside for 20 to 30 minutes a day, if you need to break that up because you are someone that is indoors so much with your job, you can do 10 in the morning, 10 at lunch, 10 in the evening. But getting outside, getting fresh air, getting sunlight on the eyes, and just gentle walking while you're doing it. That's definitely the first one. Second one, if you can reduce your toxin exposure is huge. So I would say going through those products that you have in your home and checking them against EWG and seeing where you can do some replacements. You don't have to do everything all at once. That's where it does become stressful and overwhelming. Like you said, choose 1 or 2 and replace those 1 or 2. And if that's too overwhelming, then put the sticky note on that product of an alternative that you can replace it with when it runs out. Correct. And when it runs out is when you replace it. So that way you're not putting more money out there or thinking of the financial investment that you would have to make to replace all these products, but do the work ahead of time, find what product you'd replace it with so you don't have to think about it. It's a no-brainer. And then as it empties, you replace it with a better option.
I do hear that conversation a lot of, you know, well, everything's very expensive. So I wanted to give you guys a product that I will fully endorse. And it just slipped my mind, but it's for like cleaning product. Oh, branch basics.
Yeah.
It comes in a concentrated formula, and then you add your own water. They give you the bottles. You add your own water. You add the concentration. If you want to smell, you can add essential oils, you know, depending on where you're using it on and all of that. And it covers basic cleaning, window cleaning, bathroom cleaning, and even detergent. That's what all came. And I bought it probably a year ago, and I'm just now running out of it.
Right.
And so if you're looking for cost effective, I would definitely start with something like that. I'm sure there are other companies too. It's just one that I really researched, and I love their mission behind it. It's
very
moms
safe.
and and so if you're looking for a swap that's less overwhelming, so you're not trying to replace, you know, your current window cleaner, your current this, you know, and so it's just a one-stop shop. That's what I like about it. So that company would be a good. And then for detergent, along with that, I also really like Molly Suds, because they have a sports, because we do, you know, we have a lot of athletic clothing, and so it really works well on athletic clothing.
Yes.
They have a couple different types, but they're really safe and they work. So
those are the same products in our house.
Exactly. So again, you know, it's just swapping things as they come, but also getting, I think, referrals or like recommendations from people who have tried things is also, so I'm always talking swaps, because if you have a good swap, text me, send me a DM. I like to know what they are, because I'm always interested and curious and looking for new things to share with other people. The movement I like, and I just wanted to explain really quick in case you're unfamiliar, why she keeps saying getting sunlight in your eyes is because the sunlight you get in your eyes in the morning actually predicts what's going to happen with like your melatonin and your circadian rhythm and all of that for your sleeping at night. And so if you're somebody who wakes up, pops on your phone, goes right into your office at home, because there's a lot of people working from home. You're in your hole and you're there most of the day, and you've gotten really no direct sunlight. That could be one reason your sleep is off, if your sleep is off. And if it's not off now, if you keep that same pattern, eventually it will be off, because your body can only do so much and re-regulate so much without getting what it needs. So that's what she means when she's, says get out in the morning. And honestly, if you are someone that go walk just one circle, if you have a cul-de-sac, walk that circle, anything, go stand on your grass in the backyard, get grounded, have your coffee out there. You just have to change like one little thing. Instead of having your coffee at your desk, have it outside for 5 minutes. Right. You deserve that time to care for yourself. 5 minutes is the best 5 minutes you'll make for your day. And I think that's so fascinating, that what you can do in the morning really affects, like when I figured all of that out, I was like, again, our body's so amazing, and God really made us well. So
we are built this way for a reason.
Yes. I am super excited that you are doing the work that you're doing. I know your journey was probably not one that you ever thought would happen to you, but I really feel like from your experience, you are so much more knowledgeable, and you're able to really connect better with other people who might be experiencing some of these things, but also you're really there to help people prevent. And I love that. And I think anybody that works with you, you're so sweet, you're darling, but you're so impactful, and you know what you're talking about. So if you're looking for a functional person, I'm going to drop all of Aleah's stuff in the show notes so you guys can contact her. You can follow her on social media. And then if you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out to me and I can kind of direct you. Before we end the episode, I always ask everybody that I interview for a couple of non-negotiables. And it doesn't have to be always health related, but it's like, what do you do on a daily basis that are non-negotiable so that you feel your best, every day?
Okay. My non-negotiables are my morning walk. My husband and I do that first thing. As soon as we wake up, we feed our dogs and go on a walk. And then making sure that I'm getting adequate minerals so that I can support my cells. So I try to have, usually my favorite brand right now is Elementi, or Element, I think is how they call it, just to make sure that my cells are functioning properly, and all of my supplements, because they make a huge difference in how I feel and how my body functions.
Okay, that's awesome. And again, if you're somebody who, is curious about minerals and all of that, if you follow Aleah, you can see some of the things that she posts about, and you can start becoming a little familiar with that, because that's a whole conversation that we can have another time on a different podcast. Yes. So, but I really wanted to just thank you for coming on and sharing your story, because I know that sometimes it's not easy, but I think it's very beneficial for others to hear from people who have gone through something and overcome, and how they do it, and then how they keep themselves healthy. And so I think it's just good conversation to have. So I appreciate you coming on and being so authentic and sharing with us. And I love all your tips. I really feel like today, if you are listening, you can most definitely walk away with choosing one or two things to apply to your life. We call that the 1% shift. We're not asking you to do 100%. We're asking you just to do one little percent of something that you heard today, and applying it to your life so that you can continue on your journey to health and wellness. So until next time, thank you so much for joining me, and we will talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that episode as much as I really enjoyed having that conversation and learning so much from Aleah. Some of my favorite takeaways, number one, reducing toxin exposure. Check your personal care products and cleaning supplies using a resource called EWG, which is the Environmental Working Group, to identify and replace items that contain harmful chemicals, such as phthalates, sulfates, parabens, and BPA. Focus on items like deodorant and detergents and cleaning products, because you have those all have direct contact on your skin. Number two, regulating your blood sugar. Pay attention to your blood sugar levels. Regulating blood sugar can help prevent feeding cancer cells, as they use glucose extensively. Focus on a balanced diet, limiting processed sugars, and consider consulting a healthcare professional for personalized guidance if you're interested. Number three, move your body daily. Incorporate physical activity into your routine. It can be something simple like walking, or even rebounding on a mini trampoline. Aim for about 20 to 30 minutes, but if you can only get in 10, do what you can. Outdoor activities are very beneficial, providing fresh air and sunlight exposure, which supports circadian rhythm and your overall well-being. Number 3, stress management. Practice stress-reducing techniques like deep breathing, grounding, meditation, yoga, or EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Addressing and managing stress is crucial for overall health and can be beneficial in cancer prevention. And number 5, optimize drain pathways. Ensure your body's drainage pathways are open. Maintain regular bowel movements 1 to 2 times a day. Support your liver health. Stimulate your lymphatic system through activities like dry brushing and gentle massage. And consider natural detox methods like sauna sessions and Epsom salt baths to promote toxin elimination. Remember, these are just a few of the tips that were mentioned by Aleah. They are things that we can all do. They are all free things, and free as far as becoming intentional about them. And I really hope that you guys are at least walking away with 1 or 2 things that you can apply right now to get started to continue growing on your health and wellness journey. Until next time, I hope that you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in today. I loved being here with you. I hope that you got something from today's episode. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. Drop a comment below, and if you feel led to, download the episode and share it with someone you love that needs to hear this message. As we continue to spread the goodness of this podcast, I'd love for you to help us by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or a rate on Spotify. As we increase listeners, we will come up more often when women are searching for podcasts to listen to. To stay connected with me, you can check out my social media pages at Live Life Balanced with Robin. You can check out my website at livelifebalancedwithrobin.com. You can book a discovery call. And if you're looking for a way to get started right now, you can opt in for my new quick guide for the empty nester refresh. You can join my waitlist for my new course, It's Your Time, which is going to be launching soon, which I'm super excited about. And as always, thank you for letting me be part of your day. It truly means a lot that you're allowing me to be on your wellness journey with you. Until next time, find peace, love, and light by breathing, being present, and allowing for all possibilities to happen.